こんばんは、こんにちは。Good evening, good afternoon. How's it going? いらっしゃい。Welcome. Yep. Yet another day. Yet another study practice session. Ribby. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. 9歳14日7枚4分はいということで今日は2022年3月30日今は23時5分今日は日本語の勉強108日目はいということで今日の復習始めましょうもっと早く配信始めましたらよかったねなんかすごく疲れてきた寝たいAnyway, let's just start. I feel kind of tired, but what's new, right? Neglect. Oh. いたすI'm gone. Okay. Rich Paul. Hiroi. Wait. Niji. Hakaru でしたっけ It's like advice, second opinion to consult with, yeah. It is! Hakaru. Arrival. Gone. Oh. punish. Ayashi. 政治の治 rain. But associate these words like politics and stuff. 軽い intestine. Graceful. Chatto. Imitation, fake imitation, yeah. Sign a lot, yeah. Extract. Grace, favor. Yeah, I mean, I thought of favor, but then I go back to grace, even though I know grace is this. Like, in my mind, favor, the word favor, they come. Jeez. That'll be good. There's no way it's this, is it? No, there's no way. That. Mineral. Proposal, propose. Ocean. Yeah, I'm not gonna bother. Arrival. Gun. Assign, attribute, a lot. Beckon. You beckon. Koji. Hano. Batsu. 仕方変化おとり早速仕方関係ない反応 response reaction 川ただ川Yeah, it is a Dhaka. Cool. I'm not crazy. Kako. 約束相談系仕方魔女戦場早速川でit's just spelled right basically 変化昼は昼が晴れるなれるはい 関性川に約束個人まあなんかね仕方はい川が抱きしめる抱きしめる作業work right doesn't things to do and stuff 割と要素予想でたらめ込む落ち込む保留遠慮it's either to have some restraint or to decline something kind of politely 違和感かなり抱きしめる手がかり決定decision 危ない抱きしめるhold someone tightly hug them and stuff 歴史 history 割り切るenthusiasm right with high spirits予想expectation or anticipation我慢猶予じゃなくて猶予落ち込むfeel down, feel depressed, feel sad 変化やった手がかり違和感some feeling that it's feeling off right that it feels off like this weird uncomfortable feeling that it's off right捨てる 痛みが手がかり条件that'd be conditions 引退 retirement 島は I think it's a Dhaka, yeah. 島が it is 転生 yeah, reincarnation 作業 and if I remember correctly 産業 is that, yes. 混む be crowded, be packed 張り切る割と relatively でたらめnonsense bullshit hogwash what a fantastic word 予想違和感ちょっと調べましょう聞きたいですよね違和感はい抱きしめる予想expectation anticipation 抱きしめるhold someone close tightly and all that stuff 打ち込む手がかり打ち込む feel down, sad, depressed, all that 違和感 so this feeling that feels off, right? Not quite uncomfortable feeling, but like feeling off. I feel like out of place, right? Of discomfort. Why am I learning sulfur? I don't even know sulfur in any language. Why do I need this? Yo, Rednam, how's it going? Welcome. お元気ですか？いらっしゃい。はい、よかったです。 Sometimes I wonder why am I learning such kanji? Uh, Sulfur. Like, I mean, sure, if you insist, Isaac, I will. If you tell me it's common, I'll believe it. It's like, whatever. What even is this song, actually? This kind of slaps. Oh, Deku Palace from Majora's Mask. True. I've not played Majora's Mask much. I'm more of an Ocarina of Time kind of guy. I played Ocarina of Time multiple times, and I've done hero mode like twice at least. Not like it's hard or anything, if you know what you're doing. Okay, sulfur on current. 流れる、流れ、流れる、流れる. Dude, it's difficult. Dropping this ru is impossible. 流れる、流れる、流れる、流れる. There we go. Be sure to distinguish the two other pendants from the one another in making your story. Oh, okay, yeah. Because there's the 3-1 from Mizu, and there's this 3-1 coming from Kawa. Right. It's actually, let me check. No, it's different. That's more to overflow. This is just to 流れる, 流れる. It's more to flow. 溢れる is to overflow. Completely different things. Whoa. Bad. Sulfur. Okay. Next up, something from my list. Actually, I know what I want to learn today. Assuming it's not too hard. This, because if you use this as a counter, it basically means 10%. So you can put, I think Itiwari would be 10%, Niwari would be 20%, and stuff like that. But I'm not exactly sure. But I'm pretty sure, and I've also seen it. I've seen warito, seen comparatively or relatively, which makes sense, right? It's like proportionally speaking, relatively, right? Comparatively. So just in case, learning this kanji seems like a good idea, right? I mean, yeah, the 10% is how it was taught to me, but I'm not sure how true that is. Like as always, because how would you say 1/3? 390. Well, I'm not even exactly sure what you mean in English. Like this, as in a fraction, a third. Yeah, I'm not even sure. Yeah, I have no clue. I'm pretty sure I've heard fractions before. Um, but I'm not exactly sure. There's a good way for us to check it and remember it, and that is by watching some sort of anime, focusing on kind of studying. Probably, maybe. I'm pretty sure it has to show some sort of slice of life, and there has to be some sort of character that is struggling with fractions, or that there's some question about fractions. There has to be, but I don't. I cannot recall of any. But yeah, no, I wouldn't know at all. And it's just a normal heaven word. We can do shorty, I guess. Shorty. It's not shorty, it's shorty. I didn't know that. Cool. See, this is why pitch accent is important, in my opinion. Where did I get these words? Oh, you mean my all of these memos? All of these words from my memo here? Um, through immersion, I was just watching some anime, or I was checking Twitter, or I was on some stream, and I saw the word in that context. I probably knew most of the words around that word, so I looked up this one that I didn't know in the dictionary, and then that results in me having. I never closed the tab of the dictionary when I look it up, so it results in me having like 50 tabs of the dictionary. And then at the end of the day, or when I have find some time, some other day, I one by one I take those words and put it on a memo, so I later on I can remember or recall it. I also sort of organize them a little bit, uh, depending on where I saw them, so that I can sort of remember the context in which I heard it. So, for example, all of these words are from the anime Pokemon. Um, because this is from the opening lyrics. Kokoro sashita 掴みたい夢があるから I think it was, or something like that. Um, I remember Ganko because the main characters were quite stubborn and they refused to do something. Sanko reference because they shared ideas and past events that they were going to use for reference as a manga. Um, Henshin, because the main character was waiting for an email reply. Chosen, because they challenge, right? The rival is like, oh, we're gonna sell more manga than you, kind of thing, or we're gonna be more popular than you. Kogi, because they actually started going to college before dropping, because they were actually proper mangakas, right? Right, kind of thing. So you can see how I can remember all of these words more or less in their context because I put them all together, right? By remembering the word in that context more or less, right? It's not perfect. It's not perfect memory, but it gives me an idea of what the word itself was meaning, right? And sometimes I just completely forget, so I just kind of ignore the word or delete it and be like, well, that's a shame. Because if I don't remember quite the context, the dictionary can give me like 50. And they can start being quite different in English. So I don't bother with that. But yeah, just immersion. So usually by doing this kind of method, right, of just adding a lot of words to my vocabulary, it doesn't matter if I'm watching with subtitles or not. So even if I'm watching with friends, I'll just take this. Because at the end of the day, when I'm looking at the dictionary word, I'm not looking at the English word because I read it on subtitles. I'm searching up the Japanese word because I heard it. Because that's what I'm trying to pay attention to. My attention lately, it's kind of divided and it's gravitating more and more towards what they're saying rather than the subtitles. But I'm still I still have a severe lack of vocabulary, so it can be quite hard to follow still, right? So that's why these memos. But yeah, just immersion. What about the grammar? So from day 1 to 35 or so, now from a big chunk of last year, by mean like 1 month, 2 months, I did or reviewed the entirety of Tai Kim's grammar guide. And I made the summary. I'm pretty sure I've shown you before, right? So if there's something I kind of forget, that's actually my own notes about pitch accent. This is not actual grammar. So if there's something I forget in terms of conjugation or exactly what it means, I look it up. If it's a more complicated expression that it's not used here, then I'll have to use the dictionary. And if the dictionary doesn't help, I use deep L, so it can give me more of a localization and work from it. I get most things. If anything, I feel like grammar is not so much hard to understand, but rather use it. Because if I were to say something, sometimes I forget if it's exactly with the te form, if it's I'm supposed to use the stem instead, or stuff I'm not used to using, like a passive, right? Sometimes it does happen that I'll see a phrase in Japanese. I know the words, but it's not quite connecting fully together into meaning. And I don't know if it's experience, if I need to review grammar, or if I'm not exactly seeing how it connects. I don't know. Sometimes it does happen. Did you do Genki? No, I just did Taikim. I have the Genki book. I tried to use the Genki book. it's kind of like you what you'd expect. They try to teach you things so that you can start studying and practicing on a classroom environment. Like here's how you say ohayo. Here's how you say it politely ohayo gozaimasu. Right, and they just kind of teach you that way. It's probably a good thing. It would probably help me if I went through the book and see how much vocabulary I can get through that from that is more basic, but I just didn't find in my immersion somehow, right? Because that does happen. So yeah, that's what I feel my biggest problem is right now. Um, because I spent a lot of last year, the first month of this, looking into grammar. I studied it slowly and writing it a lot, so that, and for quite a while I had to check this book more than I'd like to admit. Then I looked into pitch accent and I tried to practice my intonation and stuff. And then, okay, let's go. I'm ready. I tried to do a visual novel, and there's a lot of kanji I don't know, right? Stuff like that. Yeah, of course. And then, okay, let's try to do immersion without subtitles. And there's like, so for that, let me just show you this, right? I tried to watch Hyoka, right? Hyoka, the anime, while writing an entire script. Right? So I have this. So I wrote the entire script. The problem is with only the first two episodes, I got this much of vocabulary I don't know. Vocabulary, right? I mean, to be fair, some words are kind of strange, but it's way too much, and there are too many common or words that I should know already here, right? Well, nowadays I kind of know, but like atsukai, right? How things or something is treated. Saritote, right? Mengaku, iroko kyomi. That one I don't know already. I think I wrote this one simply because I didn't know kyomi was atamadaka, and I thought it was kyomi, but it's kyomi. Shimes, I didn't know. Konomo, I didn't know. This one, like, it's simple. Right? So, there's a lot of things here that just add up real quick, right? Tarashi, midare, terekusai. Oh no, this is the opening. Shinobi nai. Oku, kashiko. Oh yeah. Dento. There's a lot of words. There's a lot of words. Nowadays, it's been a while, so I've been learning more and more of these words. Um, you should get going with Taikim, struggling with grammar. Yeah, I mean, sometimes, even when I know the grammar, sometimes it just feels weird. It just doesn't connect. Like, I know what those particles are doing, I know those words, but like, it's not quite fitting together, kind of thing. It has happened to me like two or three times where someone in chat was trying to explain to me things. Like, for example, they tried to teach me the difference between resha, kisha, and densha, for trains, and how like they can be not only what pulls the entire train, but like also the wagons. And I just wasn't quite getting what they were getting at. So it was kind of bizarre. At some other point, something similar happened. Uh, but for the most part, I feel like I find it okay. Have I tried manga too, or just the anime? Yeah. From time to time, I do try some manga. Not much, but it's usually this stuff of the kind of things I see on Twitter. Those kind of four panels or four images with a couple of panels each, kind of manga. I don't actually sit down and read proper manga. Although I don't think it's bad. For reading rather than manga, if we're talking about a more reading focused thing, I have tried a visual novel on stream actually. But there's they tend to use kanji for a lot of words that are normal, and usually you don't see them with kanji. Uh, like I think made. Yeah, see, made has a kanji, which is this, and I only ever saw this one on a on a visual novel. When and like Japanese people were laughing at me, or like one in particular, like what the hell, what is this? So I did try that in terms of reading, and I always try reading when I'm on Twitter. I would say what a VTuber is saying, what a streamer is saying, what an illustrator is saying, kind of stuff. So like I do try my hand at reading in a lot of places and different times. And so I have a friend that sometimes finds something interesting and curious, and he wants to know a bit more about it. And he sends me, "Hey, can you translate this or give me a rough translation?" Kind of thing. So I try my hand at reading, but sometimes it gives me like official company tweeters for like an official apology, and they use like this humble language. They have use weird words that are super formal and stuff. Like, buddy, these are hard. Where do you think you learn more, manga or anime? Either. If you learn from manga, you're probably gonna get much better at recognizing kanji, and therefore when you're writing your phone or something, you're gonna be able to recognize when to use a kanji or not better, and you're gonna be much better at reading and writing, kind of thing. If you focus more on anime with subtitles and stuff, because I'm not taking into consideration watching anime with Japanese subtitles. You're probably gonna get better at listening and speaking it, and your vocabulary is gonna increase just as faster with either method. The problem is that if you do it with anime, you're probably only used to hearing it and speaking it, so don't know how to read it. But if you know how to read it, you can probably speak it. But you're probably gonna speak it wrong with the wrong pitch accent or the wrong pronunciation, because maybe you don't know about the voicing or something, right? So either or, there's going to be, no matter what method, if it's more reading or more listening focused, there's going to be some relearning to do the other way. One to like properly speech patterns and how, those things. I mean, assuming you care and mind about those, right? In my case, I want to go to Japan. I want to sound natural, or as natural as possible, in terms of like, not the typical foreigner American blonde with blue eyes that speaks awful, that shows in anime, that is really stereotypical as comic relief. Just, someone that speaks not the best, but I can get my point across most of the times, and like I can speak it well enough that I can make friendships and stuff like that, right? So for me, the entire speech pattern, pitch accent, and all that matters. But if someone is more interested in like being able to read more mangas, they come out, more light novels, play video games, and the original source, then yeah, it's probably better if you do the more reading approach. And then when speaking it, maybe you'll sound a bit weird here and there, but you're probably gonna be just as fluent and probably a bit faster. But you're probably not gonna sound as natural or as native like some people put it. And if you don't care about that, that's okay. It all depends on the purpose, what you care about, what you don't care about, and what you enjoy learning through. Because let's say someone doesn't like manga, or they're not a good reader, then in that case it's probably better if they just binge watch a lot of anime, and maybe with Japanese subtitles, so they can associate what they hear with words and kanji, right? It depends. I don't think there's a true or right or wrong method or things that's better than the other. It's just like there's so much to tackle with Japanese language that no matter how you do it, you're probably gonna get really good at something and be lacking on something else, or not be the greatest at anything but have a quite high level or something, right? Because I've seen like YouTubers that teach Japanese or talk about Japanese and stuff, and at some point they got a compare, right? Which one is better at Japanese and stuff? And at some point they're like, well, Japanese, I don't think it works like that. He's probably much better on kanji than me, and knows much more intricate words, but I can probably hold a conversation much better, kind of thing, right? There's so many little aspects that it's never you can never get good at everything. Uh, Now, without a lot of time and looking into everything and practice over time. But if you were talking in the short term, say a year or two, or even five, because I don't know how long it's going to take to master this language, but there's always going to be something you lack a bit of, but something you're better off because you focus on that, right? Or that's how I see it. That's my understanding from all the research I did. That's why I focus my studies on like building strong bases and trying to do a little bit of everything. Although right now it's a bit more focused on the listening and speaking aspects and a bit less on the reading. But because I still love kanji, I do my flashcards every day, and I will know the meaning, but the actual reading and stuff, it's gonna be a bit harder because every time I look up a kanji, I'm not too focused on the kunyomi and onyomi and all the potential readings. I'm just, okay, I learned this word in this context. That's good enough for me to speak it and maybe to read it if I see it. Moving on, right? Kind of thing. Yeah, both are really pretty important. It's really hard. Best thing you can do is like just separate your time. Like maybe spend half an hour a day reading, and the other half an hour you put an episode of anime, right, for 26 minutes or something, without subtitles, and you stop in the middle of it maybe to look up stuff, right? It's same with reading. We're probably gonna stop in the middle of it to look up things for quite a while, if I had to guess, right? Like if one stops and thinks about it, it really is overwhelming, and there's a lot of things. There's some days I'm feeling like, damn, I'm shit at this language. There's so much, but um, you just have to go at it, keep at it, because you cannot get daunted and never start, right? Like, cause I remember I was watching some anime. It was Fruits Basket. They gave a advice to the main characters. Like, imagine there's like this huge mountain of laundry that you have to do, and it seems impossibly hard. But if you start doing it and start doing it, by the time you realize there's going to be much less than you realize, and if you keep at it, at some point there's going to be none left, right? Kind of thing. So yeah, slowly but surely, it's, it's a lot of patience. The problem with trying to tackle everything is that it's a slower approach. So you may feel like you lag behind. I mean, if for you're studying by yourself, right? Tokugaku, by the way, I learned that word recently. It's an amazing word, which is what I'm doing at least, self-education through the internet stuff. Tokugaku. What was I at? Yeah, if you for us it doesn't matter, but imagine like someone is in a class environment, they watch some other streamers, for example, right? Because it's easy to find yourself comparing yourself to others. I'd be like, damn, I'm slower or something, but this kind of method of trying to tackle everything is gonna be essentially slower. But I feel like at the end, by working on every single aspect properly and hammering like the radicals and the kanji and the reading, the pachaks and the pronunciation and the speaking, and very slowly but surely, and just making this very solid base that it's gonna be slower, but at the end of the day, we're gonna be really good. While others they just focus a lot on the reading and stuff, they're gonna be able to read novels much quicker, but they're probably gonna lack on something else, right? So that's my approach. Slowly but surely, tackling a little bit of everything, although with somewhat of an emphasis on listening and not so much on reading right now. And I'll probably balance that out at some point. Finishing Taikem is highly advised. I found it really useful, um, but yeah. Also, you could maybe not take as notes as thorough as me, but you can try to, from time to time, think in Japanese or something. And whenever you struggle with some concept or you want to say something passive, for example, but it's not coming, maybe take a small memo, right? Write a little note. Okay, passive was so you take the verb and the final one you change it to a and then reru. So taberu, taberareru, as in oh was eaten. Okay, kind of thing, right? If you're struggling with something, check those. While others, if you watch anime for a certain amount of time, they would probably come a bit more natural, right? For example, dake, you know that means only kind of thing, right? Kore dake, like just this, or are others that if you didn't catch already, they're really easy to catch, like kore shikanai, like there's nothing but this, right? Kind of thing. And then shikanai gets used quite a lot, actually. How many days do you allot for Taikim? I didn't. My approach was when I started the stream, at least. Because I don't remember exactly what I did last year. I just know that I woke up some mornings. I felt like studying. I studied and stuff, and I tried to read a bit more. Sometimes I didn't feel so much, so I did more kanji. But at the beginning of the 108 days, right, the first month, what I would do is sit down. For the first hour or two, it usually used to be two because I had to review for 100 flashcards because that's what happens when you stop doing flashcards for 7 or 8 months. So I had to tackle 8 months, and then I take depending on it didn't matter to me how much it took. It usually took 1 to 3 hours depending on the lesson to study the next lesson, right? So, for example, other uses of the te form, right? Teiru, tearu, and teoku. So I take 2 hours to read all of it, read the examples, read it carefully, and find the best way to summarize it here. I underline it on the PDF as well. Then I go over the examples again, make sure I understood them, and choose the one that makes it the clearest to me, kind of thing. So just every day, I just basically did a lesson a day, right? So every one of these dots were a single lesson. So every day one of these. Sometimes, however, there'd be like really short lessons that only take like 1 page. On that day in particular, maybe I decided to do like another lesson. Yeah, here for example, performing an action on a relative clause, which is to and te. So it was only 1 page. Like here is a lot of examples, honestly. So it's not much. So then I probably decided to do that day defining and describing with toyu, toyuka, toyukoto. Right. I was thinking of learning grammar as you encounter, but it seems to be like more than half the things I don't know. If I had to guess, once you finish Taikim, you'll probably understand, from my experience, after, getting a bit used to it and going back to it for, the next month, right? Say day 60, 70-ish. I'd say understand 85, 90% of the grammar, with sometimes just being a bit weird, sometimes being casual, sometimes being an expression I just wasn't aware of, or sometimes being just I just didn't understand and I'm not exactly sure why. I honestly should review more grammar. I should probably take the scripts I wrote for Hyoka, for example, and analyze the grammar a little bit and be checking, because lately on a stream, there's been this native, right? The Reimi. You've seen her, right? Her, him, I don't know, whatever. So they've been helping me fix those things. For example, that either the book doesn't quite teach you too well, or it's hard to put them together and you're not exactly sure why or how. And you just kind of have to use them and get used to them. Or that maybe I just didn't quite understand them well the first time around, right? Kind of thing. So there's one of the. I think you'll be able to understand much more, but the output is still gonna be hard and it's still gonna take some getting used to. Period. And I still feel like I should probably find some way, some language exchange program, not language exchange program, some maybe like language exchange, maybe more people on stream or something that do help me iron out the grammar, right? From what I've heard, right, some people are preaching and talking amazing about like immersion methods. Is that like by doing a lot of immersion and not outputting, right? You don't speak at all, you don't write at all. You just take everything in. So you learn the grammar, you learn the system, right? The katakana, hiragana, and how each one of those is pronounced. And maybe you looked into pitch accent, right? So that's kind of the method for immersion, right? That I saw. And then you just take everything in for like a very extended period of time, and then you try to output. Because on that very extended period of time, you heard nothing but native. All of the kind of grammar that got put together into your head and connected is the most natural way to say it, because it should have been native grammar that you were listening to, right? That's the idea. But in practice, or at least what I'm trying to do, it's a bit harder than that, because it takes a lot of time to get used to immersion, because there's so much vocabulary and there's a lot of things, right? Your goal with Japanese is more understanding than speaking. Speaking is completely, yes, it is. It is. It is. Also, we're not even getting to the cultural aspect of Japanese. I mean, if you're gonna stay at the comfort of your own home country and just take it in and maybe interact with streamers and gamers, that's fine. But if you ever step on there, if you're just doing tourism, you probably get the foreigner pass. But if you want like friends, girlfriend, you want to go there and do more than just tourism, the whole entire cultural aspect enters. That's a completely different beast. Actually, I wanna hear the kukaku. But if your goal is more understanding than speaking, and you want to, and you enjoy reading manga, which it seems like it, right? I think that's a perfectly okay way to go about it, right? If I'm guessing you probably want to read more and be able to understand more as you listen, and maybe try to speak a bit here and there on Japanese streams, but not too much, right? You don't care too much. So in that case, if you really do like manga, you're okay stopping it and going over the same manga a couple of times to fully understand it or something like that, and like practice it and read quite a bit and all that, then yeah, that's a completely okay way to do it. And then you listen. And if you don't have a lot of ways to speak it, that's okay. Because if you do a lot of inputting and your output is just on keyboard, I feel like through that process, you should still be okay with speaking on a general level, right? You're still probably not going to be as good as someone that focused a lot of like the pitch accent and hammering it down. but you should be on a very good level, right? I feel like maybe. I don't know. There are many ways to do it. And again, I'm always take everything I say with a grain of salt. You have to understand them, but another student by myself with using random internet resources, on my opinion. Um, but yeah, so like maybe I have a bit more um experience learning it because maybe I've been trying to learn the language for a bit longer, but it's true for any language, not just Japanese. Yeah, I did. Yeah, knowing the ins and out of like language learning does help. It's just languages like Japanese, probably uh, languages that just don't use the Latin alphabet, right? From A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all of those, like Spanish, English, Portuguese, um, all of those. So, though outside of those, right, they have their own writing system, kanji, hiragana, whatever Koreans use, whatever some Hindis do use, and all that. It's much harder, because you have to focus on two new things, and not just one new thing, right? Because I can say in some French, for example, oui, yes, right? So you know how to write this. You're just associating different sounds, and that's okay. This is like completely new, and you're associating sounds, completely new sounds. Here, only the sound is new, right? So it's much more tricky to tackle this. I feel like, but yeah, I don't know. This is just my random thoughts as a learner. The best writing system is Korea's. I've heard really good things about Korea's writing system. It's so smart, nice. Yeah, I've heard like good things. Like it's more like an alphabet. It's more intuitive, and it's kind of nice, right? So I am. The curiosity is there. Am I gonna act on that curiosity? Fuck no. I already have my hands full. um, oh shoot. Like I honestly think that unless I become an old man with a lot of free time, if I ever learn some other language that other than the three I know, it's gonna be something like Italian, French, Portuguese, because they're just too similar to Spanish not to learn, right? And it wouldn't be that much. If I try to learn Chinese or Korean, probably an old man with too much free time and not knowing what to do with it. It's like the advantages of alphabets and kanji combined together to form like ideas and stuff. Holy shit. With actual proper readings that is intuitive kind of thing. You know English and Filipino. Oh, right. Oh, are Filipino and Spanish similar? I wasn't really aware of that. I mean, if you're ever do and wanna practice, I'm here anytime. ¿Cómo está, Tenidor? Universidad. Oh, universidad. Yeah, we read it really similar. Um, in Spanish, it's this. It's just the this V. It's a V instead, right? Um, but yeah, language English is already a garbage language enough, and Japanese is already a complicated as fuck language enough that I don't know if my head can handle more. Well, at least the thing is, for me, a language is not something that I just put on my resume and I try to remember it. It's something that I'm actually going to be using on a daily basis. So, for example, on my daily life in Canada, I speak English. With my family and some friends, I constantly speak Spanish. And for my hobbies and stuff, I'm probably gonna constantly be using Japanese, right? VTubers and games and stuff. So I'm always gonna have this mix of all three languages that I wanna be using constantly on my daily basis, right? So learning a fourth language from that, I don't think will help me much more than maybe put it on my resume. But every time I'll try to speak it, maybe say for work or a job or something, it'd be just me trying to remember it because I really don't use it, right? Yeah, top one and top two. Yeah, yeah. Um, I also consider myself lucky because I was born Spanish. Because English people know English. They don't need any other language. Do they? Do you think they care in high school when they were learning Spanish? They don't. They don't give a fuck. So they're kind of half-assed for the most part, right? Really general terms. But for me, I only know Spanish. I need English, right? I need it for like work, job, and the entire world. All films, movies, shows, and bajillion things. So I really put a lot of effort into it, right? And then right now I was like, what should my third language be? Oh yeah, you know that tiny island far to the east? Yeah, sure. Let's learn that one language that is only used in that country. uh, I, I say I say that because that's probably what my mom thinks, right? Kind of deal. Like, why are you not learning like I don't know French or something, buddy? And I'm like, leave me alone, mom. uh, I'm mostly memeing, by the way, but yeah. Uh, Arese, that's a good one. Oh, Kanben is a good one. Akui is a good one. Oh, nice. These are all kind of good. Bum, 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 bum. I mean, Rese could also be kind of like with a clear head, cause or thinking rationally, kind of thing, right? So like, I'm pretty sure I've heard that word all the way also used with like when someone takes a good kind of decision or they take their time to cool off after like a fight and then make a good decision kind of thing, right? Um, Because if I had to guess, all of these probably come from Terrasa's, maybe. That's a solid maybe. Actually, they could come from Bakuma. Actually, they do come from Bakuma. Kui. Yeah, regret. So Kuyashi would be more like frustrating. Kui is regret. What I don't know is what the difference between Kokai and Kui is. Because they're both regret and repentance. But I'm guessing this is Ato, right? The later, right? So this is probably more something in the past, regretting something you did at some point. And Kui is probably something more recent, if I had to guess. But actually, I'll put it on my memo real quick. Kui. Tai. Kokai. um. So now is also a good, really good one. So being so now, okay, yeah, that no wonder it sounded weird. So now, um, honest, frank about one's feelings, right? Kind of thing. I hear this all the time. So much that I already probably know it, and I don't need to write it down. But on a magazine, such a good, frank, candid, straightforward, open-hearted, direct, outspoken. Interesting. So now, Kanben. 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 So it's not Kanben, but Kanben. Kanben. Also, I do recommend whatever method of studying you decide to go for, that you watch a couple of videos on pitch accent so you understand what it is, more or less. And that whenever you learn a word, try to remember this. Or at least try to remember when it's not heban. Because a lot of words will just be heban, right? Just flat. なんかこんな感じで話せるとか right? Really flat, no pitch or anything. But then, like if it's different like this, atamadaka, right? Kanben. You're actually atamadaka. I feel is the word that is the pattern that you most likely can recognize, or the easiest to recognize out there. Like just be aware that this exists. You have no clue. I've had to relearn many words because I didn't study this, and then later on I realized it exists, and like, oh shit, this is not being said how I thought. Like for example, I was sure it was settai, but it settai, right? For absolutely, right? kind of deal. Now, like relearning words is never fun. So whenever you're like adding words to your flashcards or something, be aware of this. Like, you don't need it. There's some very solid there's arguments there to be made about like you don't really need it, but it's a recommendation from me to you. As someone that doesn't want to half-ass my language studies, if you don't want to half-ass your language studies, do pay some attention to this. Even if like your focus is more understanding, just be aware that this exists, look at the rules here and there, and then move on to reading and what you want to do. That goes to anyone out there. Like, I do feel like big shots and YouTubers make it like a far bigger deal than it is. But they also do have the thing, they make a really good point, as in like it's important to study and be aware of it. Otherwise you're gonna be sounding a bit like, not like an idiot, but it's gonna be a bit hard to understand you. It's like when someone with a really thick English accent speaks to you, right? Kind of thing. Like you can tell they're not native. Which, it's like, being able to tell you're not native is not a bad thing. It's just speaking plain wrong. Right. I don't know. Or maybe it's just me focusing too much on things I shouldn't. I don't know. Anyway, gonna call it a day. I want to sleep. It's late. So, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it. はい。ということで、皆さん、見に来てくれてありがとうございます。私はもう、後から寝ます。おやすみなさい。お疲れ様。また今度。Alright, have a good night. Have a good one. Take care.